Hey, Kevin Ross is here. What's up, my dude? What's up? I like your little Instagram logo up on the beach. Ah, we got 2 minutes to start. No one's here on Facebook yet. El Clasico. Oh, and Kevin's gone. He is gone. Welcome to the Jam Point. This is your host, Ryan. Okay, one minute until we're on the air live again. We got a packed show for you guys today. Uh, Sort of impromptu planning, but I just want to discuss March Madness, discuss Raiders free agency coming up at the hour. Oh, someone just popped in and then left immediately. Too bad for them. Too bad for them. Okay, we should be live shortly. Hey everybody, welcome to the J Report podcast today. We are live on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Blog Talk Radio, and this will be up on our Spotify page at the conclusion of the podcast. We have time for 30 minutes today. I don't know if we're going to take up the whole 30 minutes. I think I'm going to move away from this 30-minute block type of radio show and move into more of a hot take segment. This might be my last one, but a hot take segment where something happens in the sports world. Like right now, we just had March Madness, and we take I do a 10-minute take, post it just whenever, not really have set time. So depending on how this goes, this might be the last radio show, but we'll move towards a hot take type deal. I think that'll be more exciting. People don't have to listen for as long. Maybe people will read it all, or listen to it all, because not many people. I don't expect many people to listen for 30 minutes to me, but hopefully we can get this underway. So recently in the sports world, obviously it's March Madness. That's the most important thing out there in the sports world right now. Everyone's betting money. Everyone's coming home from work or watching at work, watching at school, skipping classes, whatever, and they're coming to watch March Madness. Personally, I thought the first 2 days were underwhelming. It was an underwhelming first 2 days of basketball. There weren't really many big-time upsets that shocked anyone. You look, 12 seed won in Middle Tennessee, but who thought that wasn't going to happen? Wichita State won a 10 seed, but that's a 10 over a 7. Wichita State, that's not surprising anyone. You just look at who won, and in reality, there aren't very many actual upsets where you look at that and you're just like, wow, how did that happen in the first 2 days? You look at the 11 seed USC beating SMU. That's probably one of the bigger upsets that we had in the first 2 days, but if you really think about it, it's not that big of a deal. Playing in those first 4 games is a huge advantage for teams because, you get a win against an easier opponent, and that win carries into momentum until the first round, where the other team's coming in cold, but you have experience already in the tournament and momentum just because you won a tournament game. So I think that's a huge advantage for teams. So that's why USC, I think, was able to get the win over SMU. You scroll down, not very many other upsets. You talk about, in like each division, there's literally one upset per region. You talk about in Villanova's region, the East region, it was just USC over SMU. You scroll down, you go to the West region, Gonzaga's region, just Xavier over Maryland. But then again, if you really think about it, is that an upset? Seed-wise, yes. But Xavier has made tournament runs all throughout, this decade. So is it a surprise? No, not much of a surprise there. So, you look at the two upsets in the whole left side of the bracket in the East and the West portion, two upsets total. And in all honesty, they're not much of an upset. If you look at that, if you came up before and said, okay, Xavier's going to beat Maryland, you'd be like, okay, I see that happen. And there's not many actual upsets where you sit back and you say, wow, how did that happen like we've seen in past March Madness years? Just that did not happen. You go over to the South region. You do have two technical upsets. You scroll down, UNC, Arkansas, those are the two lower seeds. I mean, if you think about it, if you just look, right? I mean, you have 3 8 seeds win. Michigan State beat Miami. Michigan State winning, that's not an upset. Come on, right? So you go back to the South region, Middle Tennessee beating Minnesota. I mean, that was probably the most picked upset of all, in all the entire March Madness. So I don't know if you can say that is a huge upset. I mean, it's an upset. It's surprising, but ESPN gave Middle Tennessee a 48% chance of winning that game. So it's not a surprise. You go down further, the 3 and 6 seed won, like expected. You go down further, Kentucky won, obviously like expected. Who was the other team that won? Number 10, Wichita State beat number 7, Dayton. Well, I mean, Wichita State and Dayton, you knew that was going to be a 50-50 game. And in all honesty, Wichita State was favored by 6 points going into that game, even though they were the 10 seed. And then they played Kentucky very tight. It was just a missed seeding right there. And this tournament suffered from a lot of missed seeding that made it so that the upsets were all predictable. If Wichita State over Dayton, pretty predictable. Vegas agreed with it. I don't know what the Xavier line in Maryland was. I'm assuming it was pretty close. I know the Middle Tennessee and the Minnesota line had to have been close to pretty 50-50 because ESPN gave Middle Tennessee a 49% chance of winning, right? Then you move up to the Midwest region. The only upset is Rhode Island over Creighton. I think that is probably the only upset that you really sit back and say, wow, I didn't see that coming. Creighton historically is pretty good. Yeah. And so, that was the first day. So the first 2 days, just really no upsets at all in the tournament. Nothing that really surprised you. You didn't have any game winners, any buzzer beaters, schools that nobody knew of coming up and beating a big-time powerhouse. You didn't have that. The upsets that happened were, predictable. And obviously I'm not saying, well, you knew that Middle Tennessee was going to beat Minnesota. No. But if it happened, are you going to be surprised? No. It did happen. And, no one is surprised. No one should be. Middle Tennessee was a good basketball team. Same with Wichita State. Wichita State, and that goes back to the tournament doing a bad job, right? You just look at Middle Tennessee and Wichita State. No way in hell should those teams have been a 10 and 12 seed. Middle Tennessee should have been way higher. They did well last tournament. Wichita State has historically done really well. They're a 1 seed and undefeated only like 2 years ago. They've made long tournament runs. It's just, why are you giving them a 10 seed? That's just stupid on the tournament's part. It's like it's not an upset just because there's a number 10 sitting next to them. It's not an upset. You take away the numbers next to the team names, not many upsets in the first 2 days. But I will say this: I think after having a lackluster and disappointing first 2 days to the tournament, the second pair, so the weekend, might have been the most exciting. Round two, or whatever it is, it's still the second round. The last few years they moved it to the second round because of the first four, but second round might have been the most exciting second round in history. In history of the tournament, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it was. You look at the big headlines. What happened, right? You had Northwestern early on, I think yesterday morning or Saturday morning. I don't remember exactly. So I think it was Saturday. They got screwed by the refs against Gonzaga. They're down 22 points, like expected. Gonzaga was expected to go in there and beat up on Northwestern. First time they've appeared in the tournament. They got their first win against Vanderbilt by 2. They got lucky, but hell, it's a win. And they're playing Gonzaga. The game's coming down to the stretch, and you have the goaltending call that the refs missed, and it would have been a 3-point game. It would have been a dunk. So, the momentum from a dunk is huge. They already had the momentum of coming back down 22 points, and instead they miss a call, so the dunk's wiped off, that momentum's wiped off, and then the coach runs onto the middle of the court and gets teed up for arguing the call. So a terrible missed call and a terrible mistake by the coach, and by then I think the lead, because it was 5, the dunk would have made it 3, then the technical, you add the technical onto that. That's, the lead then expands to 6, and Wichita State has the ball. So as soon as the missed call and the technical happened, that was game over for Northwestern. You got to commend them, but incredible game. Just such a good game. You got to give it out to the Northwestern players. They played their hearts out, and they're not a great team, but they played hard, and Gonzaga was much more talented. It showed early in the game when they're up, in the 20s, but Northwestern fought back, and that's that's March Madness that we love. The teams that you say, how are they going to compete with this team? They find a will, they find a way, they find it in their hearts, and they go out there for 40 minutes and they compete their asses off. And they find a way. Unfortunately, because of the refs, and what looked like a pretty 50-50 game coming down to the stretch turned into, Gonzaga's going to win with, I don't know when that dunk was, probably like 2.5 minutes left in the game. But it's unfortunate. It's what happened. But, all in all, extremely, extremely exciting game. Not an upset, but extremely exciting. So we moved down that bracket. You had West Virginia, Notre Dame. I'm going to get to Notre Dame and the ACC later. I just want to do a quick review of all the games, and then we'll move into a few major headlines that we've seen. But I just want to recap the best weekend of basketball that I think I've ever seen in March Madness in college basketball. It was incredible, right? And you move down that bracket, West Virginia over Notre Dame. West Virginia just handled them easily from the tip. Surprising. I thought Notre Dame was going to be an underrated team that would give Gonzaga a fight in the Sweet 16 and maybe beat them out for the Elite Eight. I thought a tough schedule in the ACC would help them, but obviously not. Didn't play well against West Virginia. You move down, another ACC team just got whooped. Florida State. One second here. There we go. Florida State just got killed by Xavier, and that's a huge upset right there. We were talking about earlier, no upsets in the first 2 days. Well, you got an 11 seed over a 3 seed. A lot of people liked Florida State to go far. They thought Arizona might be a little weak in the bottom of the bracket coming from the Pac-12. So Florida State going down Xavier, and it's not a 1 or 2 point game, not a crazy March Madness, shot at the buzzer or whatever it is, 91-66 a 25-point loss to a favorite that a lot of people like to advance pretty far in the tournament. So, I mean, that's just crazy. Not quite exciting because it was a 25-point game, but, it sort of blows your mind, and you're just thinking, well, how did that happen? Why did that happen? Another loss for the ACC, which is also surprising, which boasted, or supposedly, the best conference in all of basketball, maybe in history this year, have not fared well, but we'll get to that later. You move down the bracket, Arizona beats St. Mary's. Expected. We go back up to the East. Well, you start, after, Villanova beats Mount St. Mary's by 20, wins the national championship last year. They get unlucky with Wisconsin being in their side of the bracket, has to play in the second game, and Wisconsin comes in and beats them. They played really solid basketball. Wisconsin matched up well against Villanova, and it's unfortunate. Wisconsin is a powerhouse of a program. I mean, the group of seniors has been to 2 Final Fours, a national championship game, and 3 Sweet 16s. This is their 4th Sweet 16, so the team is super experienced. Unfortunate for Villanova, they didn't play poorly. They just got beat by a team that played better that day, and that was Wisconsin. You move down, another ACC team is gone. UVA gets beat by Florida 65-39. Excuse me. 65-39. It, was not close at all. And, it's surprising. You would have thought that the ACC would have done better. But then, and it's not like the ACC was playing close games. I mean, they're getting beat horribly. Wisconsin beat Virginia Tech by 10. UVA lost to Florida by 26. Xavier, they beat Florida State by 25. Notre Dame lost to West Virginia by 12. It's just all throughout the ACC teams are going down. A terrible display from the ACC, who is deemed the best conference in the country, was deemed maybe the best conference of all time. Terrible showing for the ACC. So we move back down. Baylor, the 3 seed, they beat USC in a very close game. USC sort of looked like the team of destiny of this tournament, but it looks like that's going to be Michigan. Speaking of another ACC team going down, who did Michigan beat? Runner-up ACC regular season champs, or not champs, but the runner-up to North Carolina, Louisville, the 2 seed in the Midwest region. Louisville goes down by 4. We move back to the East region. I think probably the biggest upset of the day, or the weekend, really, South Carolina over Duke. South Carolina drops 65 points in the second half, and they win by 7, and the game just sort of got away from Duke. South Carolina kept, the momentum just built until it was too much for Duke to come back on and to handle. You got to commend South Carolina. I'll say this, their coach is a stud, underrated coach right here. Underrated coach, Frank Martin. He's a former Marine. He's extremely exciting to watch. He doesn't take shit from anyone on his team or anyone, at all. And, he all his teams are going to be tough and play really hard, play real physical. He was the former coach at Kansas State. He had a great team with Magruder, a kid named like Clemente and Jacob Pullen. A great Kansas State team that, was full of a bunch of great college players, but not pro players. But they played hard. They shot the 3 well. And they were really good for a few years. But, he then left to South Carolina. And it was a tough rebuild. I mean, South Carolina's never been good. I think this was the first NCAA tournament game they ever won, or something crazy like that. They haven't been in the tournament forever. So commend Frank Martin. It's not like this is going to be a one-time thing for South Carolina, and they're not going to bow down to Baylor. If they beat Baylor, that would be a great story, but I would not be surprised. Baylor's a team that they could probably match up pretty well against. More athletic, undisciplined. South Carolina is going to be well coached, going to be tough. That's going to be a game. It's going to be up and down. It'll be a really good game to watch. But Frank Martin and these South Carolina Gamecocks are going to be here for years to come. They're not going anywhere. He's a heck of a coach, so really watch out for him in the future. And also congrats on the big win over Duke. But you move back to the Midwest bracket, nothing too crazy here, except the Michigan win over Louisville, which is super crazy. I mean, Michigan a week ago almost have a terrible accident on the airplane. They slide off the runway. Their uniforms are, they can't wear them because they're part of an investigation, so they had to stay on the airplane. And Michigan goes to the Big Ten tournament wearing practice jersey, wins the Big Ten tournament, and then comes into the NCAA tournament and just kept that momentum rolling, beats Oklahoma State by 1 point in a 92-91 game, a crazy game, and then they beat the 2 seed Louisville yesterday. So definitely an exciting day. Definitely an exciting day for Michigan. Just got a comment from Sule Marshall. I don't know, what he's commenting on. Facebook Live, come join us there, or Instagram Live. The Instagram Live doesn't get much love, honestly. We need more followers on that Instagram account. If you're listening, follow it, JR Report. It's quite easy to remember. Just plug it in, give us a follow. Move back down to the South bracket, UNC and Arkansas. UNC wins, but surprisingly, UNC did not play well, but Barry had an ankle injury. But, UNC needs a closer. They need a guy that they can just give the ball to and he can get 2 points. They don't have that. I think that's going to hurt them down the stretch. They play Butler. I think they'll match up pretty well against Butler, and I think they'll win fairly easily, probably 10, 12 points. I think it'll be close first half, and then UNC will sort of move away. And it'll stay around that, 8 to 10 points. Never threatening, but, Butler will still have a chance. But I think what's going to hurt UNC down the stretch is Barry isn't a good enough shooter. The issue with Barry is he's short, so if he's trying to drive at the end of a game, he's going to get swatted. He's going to get sent back. It's going to be hard for him to score. Just because he's only 6'1", it's hard for him to score, and he's not a good enough shooter to just hit from outside. To to be clutch. To be clutch, you got to be skilled to be clutch and have that in his mind. I don't know, if he has the clutch gene, but you need to be able to shoot to be clutch, and he can't. He's a good shooter, but he's not a great shooter. To where you can just hit one in your face, hit 2 or 3 in a row when you need to hit it from 4 feet behind the line. He's not that. Justin Jackson is the guy. Justin Jackson is the guy that they have to go to. He's 6'6", 6'7", or whatever. Has the lengthy arms. He can get his shot off whenever. He's a better shooter than Barry. He's the guy. Does he have it between the ears? I don't know. But he's going to have to if UNC wants to advance farther, because they're going to win. They'll probably play University of Kentucky, maybe UCLA, but it doesn't matter if it's Kentucky or UCLA. Kentucky and UCLA have those closers. They have the guys that you say, hey, get out of the way, give him the ball, let him go to work. He's going to get you 2 points. And Malik Monk for Kentucky and Lonzo Ball in UCLA. So that game is going to be hard for UNC. They got to get past that game. If they get past that game, you have to like their chances, because you think about the East bracket. I mean, who the hell is coming out of there? Wisconsin, Florida, Baylor, South Carolina. Probably Wisconsin. If you had to put money on it, I'd put money on Wisconsin comes out as the 8 seed. But, they're on the other side. But, UNC is not going to have that much issue with Wisconsin. On the other side is with Arizona, Xavier, Gonzaga, West Virginia. If it's Gonzaga or Arizona, that's tough. But not as tough as the UCLA and Kentucky. will be for North Carolina because they have closers on the other team. Malik Monk dropped 47 the first time he played North Carolina in Vegas earlier this year. UNC obviously hasn't played Lonzo Ball, but that guy's going to close out games. And if you just look at this, Lonzo Ball's a beast. In their last game against Cincinnati yesterday, Lonzo Ball, 38 minutes. He played 38 minutes, 38 out of the 40. That's crazy, right? This guy's ready for the NBA. Whoever gets this guy in the NBA is getting a flat-out stud. 18 points, that's nice, but 18 points with 9 assists and 7 rebounds. Almost a triple-double. He played 38 minutes, and he shot 7 to 10. He shot the ball 10 times. Just 10 times, 18 points. He's efficient as hell. He had 9 assists. He's setting up other teammates. He's rebounding the ball, and he's your point guard, right? He's getting 7 rebounds as your point guard. He's your 6'6", 6'7" point guard. That's going to be tough for UNC to stop. I think Kentucky will be harder. To stop for UNC than UCLA just because, Ball's a great player. But, you don't have to worry about him like Monk. Like, Monk could go for 35 against UNC, where Ball probably could. But, that's not the type of player that he is. He wouldn't. Like, you see that, he had 18 points. He only took 10 shots. He could easily have taken 20, twice as many shots, and had 30 points, right? But, that's not the way he plays. He sets up other people. He did that at Chino Hills. So I think he's less of a dangerous player for North Carolina. But, and the reason why it's dangerous for North Carolina is I believe that they can guard him at the other end. But, a player like that, you can only, you can't completely take out of the game. You can only affect him and make him uncomfortable. But you still need a guy on the other end who can match him. And go bucket for bucket. If Monk goes for a run at the end of the game and scores 8 to 10 points in a minute and a half, hits 2 threes, dunks it, who on North Carolina is going to come back and hit a 3 or 2 to negate that? Maybe Jackson. I don't have the belief in Jackson. Barry isn't. So that's the issue. If it comes down to a close game, I don't think UNC will pull it out. UNC, though, has the size and the talent and the depth to bang it in the post and hopefully wear out other teams. That's how UNC is going to make it. If they get past UCLA and Kentucky, the winner of this bracket should be the favorite to win it all. Just because you look, all the other marquee teams are out. Villanova, Duke in the East. Gonzaga and Arizona are the lower level 1s and 2s. So, I'm a little worried about Arizona. Gonzaga, I think North Carolina has the talent to take care of Gonzaga. Or, Kentucky, UCLA, whoever comes out of that bracket. In the Midwest, you have Kansas, Purdue, whatever, Oregon and Michigan. Michigan's a team of destiny. We see these teams all the time. They probably will end up beating Oregon, which is good because they'll knock out a talented team. But, they'll get to the Elite Eight, play Kansas, and that'll probably be it. To be honest, I haven't seen Kansas play enough. But, they're taking care of business. They beat Michigan State and Tom Izzo by 20. So, they're not going to be a cupcake. That'll be tough for sure. But, just wrapping it up, that was the craziest day, I think, probably ever, for the second round of March Madness. Maybe, the craziest 2 days of basketball. We've had some crazy first-round days. This is easily the craziest second-round day. A lot of upsets, a lot of very close games, a lot of big powerhouses going down. The ACC only has 1 team left in North Carolina, and they barely advancing over I just totally am blanking. Sorry, Arkansas. And they go to 12-0 run. That game was over for North Carolina. They got lucky. Northwestern got screwed. Michigan continues their great run. The Villanova upset. They're out. So we only have a few minutes left here. The Raiders, I want to get to Raiders free agency. I'll probably have to do that on a short snippet, maybe 10 minutes later this week. And I think I want to move towards that in general, just so, if people want to listen, they only have to listen for 4 or 5 minutes. They don't have to, listen for 30. I think it's more reasonable. I think, it'll be more interested, like myself. I'm not going to sit down and listen for 30 minutes. Hopefully you guys can hear snippets of this. Two, also people can send in questions, and then, I can respond with a 3, 4, 5 minute video to their answer. To their question with an answer. But quickly on to the Raiders. I have about a minute left before we have to end it. They signed E.J. Manuel, wrote an article on that. There's the Marshawn Lynch rumors, but today the Raiders just signed Jelani Jenkins, a linebacker from Miami. It's a decent move. He was a solid player in 2014 and 2015. His pro football ratings, 77 and 73.2. So in that was 2014, 2015. So he's a solid linebacker. Raiders haven't done anything there. They need to re-sign inside linebacker Perry Riley. I mean, I don't know why they're taking so long. Maybe they're hoping he's going to come back with the tail between his legs and just say, give me a 1-year deal, give me anything. I didn't have any interest in free agency. But, he had a close to an 80-something rating from Pro Football Focus, so he's a high-rated player. They need to bring him back. Jelani Jenkins only had a 31.4 rating last year, so he dipped. That's from injury. He only played 9 games. So if he can get back to the form from 2 years ago, he had over 100 tackles in 2014, close to 80 in 2015. He'll be a solid addition. I don't think his contract numbers have come out to really gauge that, but he's a solid addition. He has to replace Malcolm Smith. Can't be much worse than Malcolm Smith, honestly. He was pretty bad last year. You just got to add depth. Hopefully he can turn into something, but they need to re-sign Perry Riley because they've left a lot of holes on the defense. They haven't signed anyone in linebacker, anyone at defensive tackle, and anyone in the secondary. And you're not going to be able to draft all of that and find instant starters immediately. So we're all done today with the JR Report. Thank you guys for tuning in. I don't know when we'll be back next time, but, check out the website, check out our new layout, check out our new articles. We have some new writers coming on, baseball season starting. It should be exciting. Make sure to tune out and tell all your friends about the JR Report and buy some merch. Thank you very much. Ryan Lipton is signing off.